Hey, how you doing out there? And welcome into the Monday Minutia in Uncle Steve's Lounge. I am Uncle Steve. So glad that you could join me here on the show today. We're gonna get nostalgic today. We are gonna talk about your favorite, just plain and simple, man, just to hear the stories. Your favorite Atlanta Falcons game of all time. I'm sure you have one. We've had a lot of people talk about wax nostalgic about some of the playoff games, some of the old school games that other people don't know about. And I'm going to give my top five Atlanta Falcons game. Not so much I've even been to, but top five Atlanta games in my lifetime. Now, again, I will reserve the right to change my mind, but I want to hear from you. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to reminisce about some of the old Falcons games here in Legend and talk about anything else you want to talk about Falcons. I know we're still buzzing over the schedule release and all of that. So if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that too. But today is about favorite Atlanta Falcons games. Join us here in a couple of seconds back here on Uncle Steve's Lounge.
You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Gonna sit down, have a good time. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge.
What's going on, everybody? Hope y'all are having a great Monday. This is the Monday Minutia. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge, and we appreciate you coming in to talk Falcons football with us today. We appreciate you. Hope everything is going well. Today is pretty simple. We've talked so much, and this is that part of the year that it's gonna get kind of boring. And I'll just tell you all that right now. Things are about to get boring. But yeah, you got a couple of OTAs here, there. But until training camp starts, quite honestly, that's when things really get ramped up. So you'll start seeing a lot more shows like this where we kind of just go back in the Wayback Machine, back to when we were winning consistently, and just feel good games as far as we are concerned about Atlanta Falcons history. I just wanted to put it out there because my son and I were talking, and a lot of times I bounce a lot of ideas off of him, and he's very good to kind of share his feelings, with some of the things that we're about to talk about. So he did. He came up and he told me, he said, Dad, what was your favorite Atlanta Falcons game? And I know it's simple and I know it's small and you just say, man, that's kind of lazy, but is it? Because a lot of times they change. I think the beauty of the game is depending on what's going on, maybe with the franchise, what's going on with your nostalgic ticker in your head. some games can mean more than others. So I asked the question just to get it popped in your head. Not even so much the most popular game. I know I got a feeling I know the one that will probably pop up with a lot of people, but games that are just significant to you as a Falcon fan. Not so much this was the most one that led to the most successful, but just what games meant more to you. I have a top 5, and I just want to see if anybody else has these in there. Now, again, I could go on 20, 30 down the road just like that because I definitely have a lot of memorable games in my life. And starting off with my first game ever, I say first game ever. It wasn't my first game ever, but my first recollection of the Falcons, as my dad told us he used to take us when we were 3 and 4, but I don't remember that. My first recollection was the opening game for Fulton County Stadium, and I want to say it was either 77 or 78. And that was Earl Campbell made his, whenever Earl Campbell made his debut, we were that game against Oilers. And the main thing I remember about that game, surprisingly enough, is Earl Campbell taking a swing pass and going 70-plus yards for the touchdown. Seeing that big dude run down the sideline was just always going to be very memorable to me. But your favorite game, as of right now, for May 18th, 2026, this is my top 5. So I know we don't have any music for that, I guess, right? Not really. I guess we'll just top 5. Here we go. Number 5. And I think this is an important game when you start talking about finally seeing some, gusto and everything. That's number 4. Number 5, finally seeing some gusto and with Matt Ryan. Not that he didn't show it before. That's to get the blank off the field game versus Carolina. For those of you who don't remember, we were down in that particular game, and Matt Ryan threw the long pass to Roddy White to set up the game-winning field goal for that game. That was a huge win, and it kind of catapulted us that year into what turned out later on to be our what would be our second NFC Championship game. I think it was. Third would have been our third NFC Championship game at that time. So just remembering the look on Captain Mudlin's face, and no, not Captain Mudlin. That was Prince Nakamura, whoever it was, that was playing safety against Roddy White, and just watching him snatch that ball out of the air was this beautiful thing. Number 4, again, just came in order, and this is subject to change. But number 4, clinching that first Super Bowl berth. Of course, that was in Minnesota, and Minnesota with the big lead going into the fourth quarter, and the Falcons clawing their way back, and of course getting to 2 field goal kicks, one missed field goal by Gary Anderson and one clinching field goal by Morton Anderson to get Atlanta to their first Super Bowl. I just remember just the excitement, and I was over at my mom's house, and we were sitting there, and it was just pandemonium watching them clinch that game, and that's just a memory that's never going to go away. As you can imagine, especially being their first clinching into the Super Bowl. And the Falcons were really good that year. They were 14-2, and it was overshadowed because Minnesota was 15-1 and was thought to be, in a lot of people's eyes, one of the greatest teams ever prior to that. So that was very much not only one of the probably bigger upsets, but just to be able to get that first Super Bowl clinching win, it was awesome. This one sticks out because this is the first time, I think, not even the first time, but this is probably one of those times when America was really getting into the Michael Vick experience. The overtime win versus Minnesota, and Mike kind of went off passing and receiving, over 170 yards passing and 170 yards, not receiving, rushing and passing. I mean, that was a pretty good feat. And to be able to do that on, I think that was a 4:00 game, if I remember correctly. But and if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the one where the two Minnesota guys ran into each other. And you have to go listen to the radio. That was Jeff Hullinger and Jeff Van Note when they were doing the broadcast, and you could hear the high five in the background. That's how audible it was back then. But watching it on TV and then going back and them showing the highlights and listening to the radio call, that was really awesome. That's what I have at number 3. Number 2, this one isn't going to change because this is probably the one that introduced me into the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints rivalry. And at that time, don't get me wrong, it was nowhere near the heights of what it is today, but it was significant because both teams that year were definitely a little better. Falcons were going to go on and eventually clinch their first playoff berth that later on that year, but they were down 17-13, and lo and behold, Steve Bartkowski just threw it up to a play they called Big Ben Right. Ball tipped up in the air, and there's Mr. Alfred Jackson, jumps up, runs the ball into the end zone. Falcons win. They go on to beat New Orleans again, 20-17. Score that was familiar with a lot of fans after that. So that was just an awesome game for that. Number 1, even though I just tried to detract away from the ones that mean them, it's got to be the NFC Championship game, dominant win over the Green Bay Packers. A little bit of get back because just about, 6 years prior, Green Bay came in here and wiped the slate with Atlanta on a division game. They were the away team, and they came in and just ran right through us. I think Matt Ryan remembered that game. Matt Ryan came in here, and probably to this day, that may have been his best overall performance ever, in my opinion, as an Atlanta Falcon, as he dominated the game that day. And I loved every bit of it. I loved running up the score. And it almost felt like, as a fan, which made that more exciting, because you could just get years and years of frustration off your back. The Minnesota game, while significant because of the playoff berth, very, very significant, and that won't change. That was their first Super Bowl berth. But we barely got it. Was back and forth, and it went to overtime when we had to really struggle. Well, when we had this Green Bay game to win in a blowout fashion that we did, where you knew they didn't have a chance, it was just a lot of angst, just everything off your chest, on the board. Falcons win, dominant win. We know what happened 2 weeks later, but that particular win, I argue with anybody to say that was the best win in franchise history. So that's my top 5 as far as Atlanta Falcons games are concerned. I want to see yours. We're going to go over here in the chat and see what people are saying. I'm going to jump on here. I do see one super chat in the house. That's my brother, Greg. What is going on with you, Greg? Custom Kicks. Greg, if y'all want to get with him, make sure you go to Greg Custom Kicks. I think he's on Instagram as well. He designs shoes. I know he does. Brother from Goody Mob. He's the Big Gift. I think he does some of his work. He's done 2 shoes for me. So, and I can definitely vouch to say he does quality work. He said, "What's up, Aunt? New season order." You say, "Yes, sir. We're gonna get with you on offline and kind of talk to you about that, my friend." But y'all make sure y'all check him out. He is awesome with getting those shoes made. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Let me give you a little something right here. What can we give you? Let's go over. What we got?
We're just talking this and that. Why read your super chat? Uncle Steve will really try to be your best friend. All I wanna do is read your super chat and we'll hang out, talk sports, and just chill. Woo!
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you again, man. And thank you. And if you all want to donate a super chat, we appreciate you. You'll get a little bit of music there for you. We got to update some of this music. I guess I got to do a Drake remix now. Drake got 3 albums hovering near the top of the. It'll be interesting to see what he comes up with next week as far as the numbers are concerned. But whew, that's a lot of album, man. That's a lot of music at one time. My brother Big John Higgins in the house. What's going on, my friend? Good to see you in here. Thank you for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. And again, as y'all coming in, please make sure that you like the stream. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button for Uncle Steve's Lounge. We appreciate you. John says, I think it was 76 or 77, the first playoff game. That would have been actually 78. Number 2 is Tim Mazzetti kicked those 5 field goals against the Rams. Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure that was 78 as well. And of course, that 79-80 season when we were hitting on all cylinders. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I can't argue with either one of those. Great times, especially considering we were only about a little bit past our 10th birthday as a franchise. So that was real good for them to give us some early memories like that coming in. Good call. Ron Smith is in the house, man. What is going on, my friend? Thank you for joining us here in Uncle Steve's Lounge. And he did, yeah. And old Big Ben in Louisiana. Oh, yeah. Big Ben, you can't, for old school fans, that was probably, I guess the dividing line for me for the Atlanta Falcons, quite honestly, I'll say pre first Super Bowl and pre and post first Super Bowl. Those are kind of the 2 eras to me. But pre first Super Bowl, that was probably one of the bigger highlights to me. Coach's Corner is in the house. What is going on, Dre? How you doing, sir? Coach's Corner. I think we're still doing that thing on Wednesday nights. Y'all make sure y'all check them out, man. It says chat, smash that like and sub. My favorite game, absolutely without a doubt, is the game that took us to the show. Matt Ryan running into the end zone gives me goosebumps every time. I have an argument, Dre, about that every time with I'm trying to think, was that Tidy? Shout out to Tidy, Atlanta Bird game. I don't know whether that was Tidy or somebody else to say that was at that time. Remember now, this was the last Falcon game in the Georgia Dome. They had already shook the dome up the week before versus Seattle. When Matt Ryan runs in that end zone, I thought the building was going to collapse. I thought the building was going to collapse. That was, and because it was such a moment that people weren't going to say, if you saw anything, it's like, oh, Matt Ryan's going to throw a little pass here. He's going to throw a little dink here. But to see him goofily, and love Matt, but it was a goofy run. But to see Matt kind of goofily balance himself and make his way and dive into the end zone and then get up and slam that ball, I'm trying to tell you all, since I've been an Atlanta Falcons fan, neither the Benz nor another moment in the dome was bigger than that moment. That place erupted, and that was the second quarter. And MVP shouts. I remember a couple of times during that game they had to quiet the crowd. You know, Matt was like, "Hey," they had to quiet the crowd because it was either MVP or something that they couldn't even hear the offense sometimes. But that was absolutely. Higgins said, "Can't stay with you, but have a great show." Thank you, sir. Go Falcons, Hawks, Braves, and Dream. Rise up, Dream, man. I'm gonna tell you something, boy. Y'all need to pay attention to your WNBA team, man. This Atlanta Dream team is gonna be real good. Yes, 1 point loss to the defending WNBA champs in Las Vegas Aces. Give them credit. They did what they're supposed to do. But please make sure y'all check out those local teams, man. The Dreams, Braves doing their thing. Hawks hopefully doing some retooling for the offseason after a surprising year. So yeah, Atlanta is moving up. Hopefully the Falcons can match that energy and join the party. Atlanta Falcons Pandemic Cowboy in the house. What's going on, brother? Y'all make sure y'all check Pandemic out. He is doing some different stuff on his channel as well. I know he said he was introducing some new content on there. So y'all make sure y'all check out Atlanta Falcons Pandemic and always support him. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining us. We had a great stream the other day, sharing the screen with he, myself, Big Low Country Sports, T-Wheel. Just had a great time doing that. Blackberry. Got to give Blackberry a shout out as well, man. Home team Blackberry. Just a fun stream, talking some stuff, man. But y'all make sure y'all check Pandemic out doing this thing. Dre says second favorite is when Claiborne manhandled the Cowboys and got 6 sacks. Oh, okay. Against the second string offensive lineman, but that's all good. But either way, yes, I was at that game too, and that was crazy, man. That was ridiculous. That might have been, if I'm not mistaken, was that the first year of the Bens? It was either the first or second year of the Bens. When that game happened. I know it was a night game. I want to say Thursday night? Is that Thursday night or Sunday night? I know it was a night game. And yeah, Adrian Claiborne basically made his contract. He got signed to New England after that. He had 2 sacks the rest of the year, but then got 6 in that game. And on paper, 8 sacks. But yeah. Ron Smith says, my games were both against Green Bay when Vic won it in Lambeau and when Matt and Julio went off in the NFC Championship game. That's a good call on the Vic game. That was Brett Favre. That was in Lambeau. That was the first time they lost in Lambeau. They had been playing some playoff games in Milwaukee. But that was the first time Green Bay lost at Lambeau Field. So in the snow, Mike Vick dominated, and the Falcons moved on, unfortunately, to get beat the next week by Philly. But nevertheless, good showing from Vick that year. Higgins says, Primetime's first, punt return. That was a good one, too. Yep. He fumbled the ball and still picked it up and ran. Awesome. Pandemic says, always a good thing. Good time to talk anything Falcons football. Of course it is. All the time. Wait until this season starts, man. When the juices really get started come July, when we get this training camp started, I see the Atlanta Falcons teasing us. They had Mike Penix a couple of days ago. Now today they throw Tua's picture up there throwing the ball. So it's going to be interesting. You never want to go into a season not knowing who your quarterback is. Don't get me wrong. That's not a flex. Yes, you do want to see who's going to be quarterbacking you, but there is some excitement as far as the Atlanta Falcons are concerned. My brother David Starks is in the house, man. David has been hanging around for years, man. Me and Dave chop it up all the time, man. Dave, good to see you in the house. Say, what's up, Steve? My favorite Falcons game was when we beat those baghead bums in the playoffs in their building in 1992. I remember being in the military at that time, and everybody was on. And it's funny because a lot of people were on the Falcons because of the Too Legit to Quit and the Black and all that stuff. And Dion was at probably his prime. As far as the Falcons were concerned, he was at his prime at that time, no pun intended. But just looking at the people who were rooting against him in the room with me, we used to have, for those of you in the military, used to have the day room, and that was the game showing on the day room, man. And folks did not want to see that fast talking, pompous Deion Sanders come in there and beat him, but Deion did his thing. Now, when he had the colors on, I was rooting for him. Now, ever since then, it's better shaky. proposition. Oh, man, let's go. ATL 94 is in the house. What's going on? He said that Bucks game with Kirk Cousins, 500-yard game. I remember getting ready to leave out the stadium, and then things turned around, and we won that. That was a hell of a game. Listen, let me tell you something, again, at that game as well. And it's funny because you're absolutely right. It did seem like things were about to go downhill, but that might have been for the Benz, because we haven't had the playoff moments and the winning moments. That might have been another one of those earth-shaking memories. Because when what's my guy's name? Special teams that caught the touchdown. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Caught the touchdown and split the defenders straight down the middle and caught that touchdown. Man, that was awesome. Woof, man, that was good stuff. That was absolutely good stuff. So, yeah, that was a good one. I'll take that. Tony Hall in the house, man. What's going on, Tony? How you feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. 1998 NFC Championship game at the Metrodome to go to our first Super Bowl and beating the top seed Vikings. And, Tony, if you remember, again, nobody thought we were going to beat the Vikings. Vikings were 15-1. We were 14-2. One game less, and I think we were a double-digit underdog in that game. Now, granted, keeping it real, that was a stacked team. Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Randall Cunningham. I mean, those cats were ready that year. They lost one game, but they ended up losing two, unfortunately. So, yeah. David Starr says, my number 2 beating Seattle in the playoffs in 13. Matt finally gets the playoff monkey off his back. And people keep forgetting about that. That was Matt's first playoff win. We had gone, the one in 08, the one in 10, the one in 11, and he couldn't win that first game. And people were starting to wonder whether he could win that first playoff game. So, and we dang near blew it, quite honestly. So, but he did right the ship with the passes to Harry Douglas and Tony Gonzalez. So setting up another game-winning field goal for Matt Bryant, who was just so money during those times. But, yeah, that's a good one right there. Higgs says Matt Ryan's first pass in the NFL for a touchdown. Awesome. But for those of us, if you remember, during that training camp, a lot of folks thought Chris Redman was going to end up being the quarterback. And a lot of people thought he was going to end up being the quarterback. And then the last week, they named Matt the quarterback, and lo and behold, Michael Jenkins down the middle, first play, touchdown, and what began the start of a really good career for Matt Ryan here in Atlanta. David says his number 3 is the 99 NFC Championship game. We were big underdogs in that game, and Morton Anderson kicked us into the Super Bowl. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Pandemic says, most memorable, my first game, 1978, Falcons sweeping San Francisco 49ers in Fulton County Stadium. Electric and loud. Wow. And remember back then, we were in the NFC West. So we had Frisco, Rams, us, and New Orleans at the time. So that was a pretty good feeling to beat Frisco, because Frisco and well, you know what though? Frisco was still, they were okay. They weren't, Joe Montana's reign hadn't really kicked in yet. So it wasn't like they were world beaters. The Rams were the world beaters during those late 70s teams at that time. But still, to beat the West Coast team was a big deal. David says, number 4, Thanksgiving 04, when we blew out the line. That was crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that. Mike Vick on Thanksgiving in Detroit, and they crushed them. That was a beautiful feeling to do that to them at their place on Thanksgiving. I think since then, they only gave us one more, and that was against the Saints, but they didn't give us anything else against Detroit or Dallas. And to me, don't get me wrong, I know the third game is starting to become more known. They tried to give Atlanta Saints the third Thanksgiving game, but both teams kind of fell down, so we didn't get a chance to kind of capitalize on that momentum. But yeah. Pandemic says number 2 memorable 1978 Falcons versus Cowboys, the first of many. We almost had it moments we lost. Yeah. That's both Dallas losses pretty much contributed to my disdain of the Cowboys. Yes, the Saints are the Saints, but the Cowboys are a close second because they beat 2 pretty good Falcon teams in 78 with the 78 season and the 80 season. Those were 2 pretty good teams, and Dallas got us both times, so you got to give them credit. David says number 5 NFC Championship game, 17 Matt's best game. Yes. I have never seen Matt any better, any more focused, any more dialed in than he was at that time. That was one of the great performances by Matt ever. So I give him a lot of credit on that. Got another super chat in the house. Our brother Willie Doc is in the house. Man, Willie, I appreciate you, man. As always, thank you so much for supporting the channel, brother. He said, I was in the dome when Matt threw the Julio over Kuechly to beat undefeated Panthers. Great moment. I got to figure out where you were. I was in, what section was it? 2. It was in the corner end zone, but it was 2, what was it, 215? What was my section at the dome? 2 something, 215. It's funny, I should know it right off the top of my head. But yes, just seeing Luke go up for that pass and seeing Julio go up just a little bit more, that was it. And of course, that was the undefeated season. So that was a great memory. Yeah, Willie Doc, I appreciate you, man. And thank you again for the super chat, my brother. Appreciate you. Let me give you a little something on this. Let's see.
Steve Lounge. Uncle Steve's Lounge, you know we here. It's a
Every time I hear that song, I wanted to say, I said, man, I used to love Nation. Hey, that was a good group. They really were. Thank you, Willie Doc. I appreciate you, man. And again, everybody feel free to do super chat. If you like, I'll jump right to your comment when we get that on there. Thank you so much again, everybody, for supporting the channel. And whether you give or not, I'm trying my best to read as many comments as I can, because that's what I love to do. Just share these moments and memories with you all. Like my brother Dexter Owens, who is in the house. What's going on, my brother? He said, what it do, Unc? I'm ready, starting my countdown. It's almost that time, brother. It is almost that time. Charles B is joining us in the house. What's up, Charles? He said, hello, 1978. December 24th, wild card game. Falcons 14-13 over the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles, actually, if memory serves me correct, I think they missed a field goal during that game. And we ended up clinching that game on there. That was our first ever playoff game, and we won against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a big memory. That's what he's talking about in 1978. My brother Dre says, I wasn't there for that division championship game, but when he ran into, you could feel through the TV how electric it was in the dome. I mean, that feeling is why you watch sports and love a team. And man, this is such a highlight as far as the comment is concerned from Dre, because you really can sometimes on TV feel the excitement. And it's not just something, people say, oh, you got to be there and blah, blah. That's it's cool to be there, but sometimes you can get that vibe through the TV of what's going on. And he's right. You were, if you're a Falcon fan, that's the feeling you're going for. That's the feeling we've been trying to reach back for the last 10 years. Remember, y'all know how spoiled we were between '08 and 12? And remember, don't get me wrong, the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl. But y'all remember between '08 and 12 when we were just winning games, 5 straight winning seasons, 4th playoff berth, got to the NFC Championship in 2012. And I think we kept thinking, oh, this was just going to be automatic. And now we go through this little 9-year slump. And folks are, frustrated as you should be. But boy, were we spoiled. We were super spoiled at that time. Mr. Brother Moody, what's going on, man? How you doing today? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us here in Uncle Steve's Lounge. He says, I love when we beat Philly and Kearney knocked out McNabb by putting his helmet in his stuff. I do remember that game. Yeah. Donovan was not feeling very good in that game. Patrick Kearney, boy, that's a blast from the past, buddies. That's a blast from the past. And thank you, brother. Kadero Hodge. Goodness gracious, how did I forget that name? But Kadero showed some speed on that play against Tampa. I mean, I didn't think he had that. Either he real fast or those two guys were real slow. But I remember that play. Dre says, number 3, sorry to say, but the day Rock got fired. Oh, dang. I've never disliked the coach for my birds more than him. Not as a person, though. No, I hear what you're saying, brother. Yeah, but listen, only time you got to worry about him is when they come to the Dome. When he and Kyle make their return to the Beans here, that's the only time you have to worry about him. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I don't know why my mind was, because you were with me at that game, right? Weren't me and you at that game together? Yeah, I think you were. I don't think that was Tyler. I think that was me and you at that game. I think. Could be wrong, but I think it was. Henry, what's going on, Henry? How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us here in Uncle Steve's Lounge again. As y'all coming in, please make sure you hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. This is what we do every Monday, the Monday Minutia. Talk a little bit of Falcons sports. Talk about whatever you really want to talk about. That's what we're doing. Today, we're talking about Atlanta Falcons games, your favorites over the years, no matter how far back you go. So, all good. Mr. Big Management is in the house. Said, nice to catch a live show. What game are you going to this year? My goodness. Now, if you're talking about, now, obviously, I go to the home games. I will be making an appearance in Pittsburgh. So I look forward to that. That will be my first time ever going there. So barring anything weird, I will be making that trip to Pittsburgh. I loved the Minneapolis trip that I took last year. I'm not sure, quite honestly, if I'm going to make it again. And we're still trying to flip a coin. My wife and I trying to decide about the overseas game that's actually right around our anniversary time. So we'll kind of, chew the fat and see what's going to be going on around that time. So it could be a possibility that we could make that game as well. But so far, those are the main ones on the list right now. Henry said, my favorite game was the last Georgia Dome game in the NFC Championship against the Packers. I would think that's probably the one that's going to be number one to a lot of people. And if not number one, maybe top 5 like mine. That game just had everything you wanted. A blowout. Matt Ryan showed out. Julio Jones showed out. The defense was ridiculous. Beating Aaron Rodgers, having him look like a sad sack on the sideline was just absolute. No other quarterback other than Tom Brady did you want to beat right around that time. So that was pretty good. Willie Dot said Matt's first F-bomb against the Bears after the game-winning kick. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, Matt was definitely the man. David Starr says if Mud Duck doesn't snap the ball before Matt was ready and the turf monster doesn't tackle Douglas, I think we kill the Ravens in that Super Bowl. Yeah, that San Francisco game, memorable for the absolute wrong reasons, up 17 points. And yeah, just how, the thing that hit me so hard about that game, which I was at that game as well. I see my brother, Joe said, yeah, I was there with you. He was there for the Tampa Bay game. I think Joe was there for the NFC Championship game too. The thing that bothered me the most about that San Francisco game was about 10 to 15 minutes after the game was over, to see them out there doing the whole NFC trophy celebration and all of that, celebrating on our field, was just a feeling that, ugh. And so it was so great that we got some get back about 4 years later on our own field. So that was pretty good. Henry said, I also liked the game when Dion picked off Breeze to ice the Aints in a few years ago. Let me tell you, Henry, is so interesting because a lot of people, the rumor was that the Falcons didn't want to play the 20th anniversary of the Steve Gleason block punt that coming right off of Katrina. That's when they reopened the dome against us. Little known fact, that game against the Saints was the 10-year anniversary, the game that you're referring to where Dion picked off the pass. That was the 10-year anniversary of the Steve Gleason kick. So, I mean, bring on the 20-year. I mean, that would give the Saints a lot of credit. They parlayed that into something, but hey, do their thing. Mr. Big Management says, who will win the starting quarterback job? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just going to say this. And if Michael Penix is healthy, if he's healthy, he's going to be the quarterback going into the year. I hear what they're saying about competition, but it's more important now to see if Mike is ready more than it is Tua getting his chance. I do feel like if Mike is not ready, if they physically say he can't go out there on the field, then you've got to start Tua. I think you can tell me competition all day. Tua is there if Mike isn't healthy. If Mike is healthy, he starts game one up in Pittsburgh. If Mike isn't healthy, Tua starts. So I know that I didn't give a definitive, but it's going to be the health of Mike Penix. I don't think it's the ability, because I think Mike Penix has a little more ability than Tua, quite honestly. I know Tua is a veteran. I know he's won, and it's not like he hasn't had good years, but I just feel like the Falcons, in their best scenario, I think they want to see Mike Penix win that job. Joseph said the days of Steve Bartkowski and the Big Ben plays, yes, sir. And we were just talking about that, especially the one that kind of kicked it off, that Big Ben right against a tip-up pass from Bartkowski and eventually ended up in Alfred Jackson's hands. That was the one, to me, that just kind of stood out when you think about it. Kelvin's in the house, man. What's up, Kelvin? How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. He says the 2 Super Bowl seasons are the best. The best game going on the road in the playoffs to defeat the one-loss Vikings. And, a lot of people have that one as the number one, which I understand because that was the first one. But as I was explaining earlier, I think the reason I'll always pick that Green Bay game, well, one, I was there, so that's going to be a little bit skewed. But I think even if I wasn't there, when you get to, exercise the demons out in that Green Bay game, you got a chance to not only show that you were there. Remember, we were the number 2 seed. We weren't the number 1 seed that year. We just happened to luck up because Green Bay beat Dallas. And a lot of folks, Green Bay's the hot team. Aaron Rodgers is hot. He just went on the road and beat Dallas. He can go in the Falcons and beat them. He just beat them 4 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff. And to be able to dominate that game. If you have NFL Plus, that's the one where you can look at the old games. I promise you, if you go look at my counter, I probably watched that game at least start to finish. I probably watched that game at least 50 times. And that's not even a joke. I've actually turned it on to go to sleep before too. Because it was such a resounding win and dominant win. So, yeah. Yeah, but I hear you, though. That was a big win. That was a big one. Kelvin says the Packers game was over by halftime. It was beautiful. See, and right below, now it was the Falcons fans came out that day. Trust me, because this is before the day of PSL. So the Falcons fans were there. But there were a lot of sprinkles of Green Bay, not as many as you would think. And we had some Green Bay fans that sat one row in front of us. I said, of all time. Let me tell you something. When Julio caught that pass, the first series of the second half, and Julio caught that pass and went down the field, and we went up 31-0 with like 13 minutes left in the half. Them folks got up. And they said they got a plane to catch. That is such a beautiful feeling to make the visiting fans get up out of there. That was awesome. Dre said, "Oh, you messed up. You were supposed to say, hey, honey, I want to take you out of the country for our anniversary. Then when you get there, say, oh, hey, wow. Did you know the Falcons have a game here?" Let me tell you something. If she was oblivious to all the Falcon stuff going on, that would probably have been a great plan A. But she, unfortunately, growing up, my wife for the last 25 years plus, yeah, that would have been. I might put that on the list for the next time, but that would have been cool to kind of do that. I hopefully we get a chance to do that, man, and get out there. But yeah, that's funny. Big Manager said, "Will we get James Pierce Jr. back this season? And how many games will he miss this season?" These are the opinions only of me. So, and I was somebody, and I'm not saying it for a pat on the back or anything like that. But I do remember when all of this stuff came out and, the public, we hurry up and crucify the young man and blah, blah. I'm not saying he didn't make mistakes. He made some horrible mistakes. You can't go hitting people with your car, especially females and especially your ex. But I said to myself, let me step back a bit before we absolutely, some people had him in jail. Some people had him traded before the draft and all of this and all that. He's going to miss time for the classes. So that's going to happen. They saying that time will put him back around mid to late October. I really feel like from the circumstances of what's going on, I think they're going to end up probably making him miss at least 4 games. I don't think they're going to throw the book at him and make him miss the rest of the games. But I think about – so if you take September, which is, I think, 3 weeks in September, probably about another 3 to 4 weeks in October, I can see them tacking on another month. Because remember, he's not going to get paid during those times either. So that's a punishment in its own. But I can see him possibly coming back maybe around the holidays, maybe around Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving possibly. And now that the bye is like around week 11 or something. I can't remember what it is, 11 or 12. Whatever week that is, I can see them possibly waiting until then and saying, "Hey, let's do that." Because when they're finished with the NFL punishment, the Falcons aren't going to do anything else. They're gonna figure it out, and I think that's what's going to happen. Like I said, that doesn't mean that I condone any of his actions. That don't mean that's just a question asked. He asked how many games uh, will he miss. I think he will miss at least 8 to 12 games, probably somewhere in there. And half of that is because of the classes he had to take, and the other half is because of what Roger Goodell is going to have to do. Henry said they should not name a starting quarterback automatically. If Tua and Penix are healthy, let them compete. Please do not repeat the season when Ritter was named starter without competition. Now, I'm not saying, Henry, that you don't have the competition. And if something is revealed in competition where Mike isn't, up to snuff, that's fine. I get that. So I'm not in any way condoning giving the job to Mike Penix. I think Mike still needs to go out there. I still think he needs to get a quarter. Tua needs to get a quarter. Next week, Tua work with the first team. Mike work with the second team. Do it like that so you can get a fair shot. So I'm not handing anybody the job. 100% think you should go on with the competition. But I think in my heart of hearts, if Michael Penix is healthy, I think he wins the competition. I think that's kind of what I'm meaning. Maybe I should have stated that right. I think if he's healthy, I think Mike Penix wins the competition anyway. If that helps. Georgia, Texas boy in the house. What's going on, sir? He said, "What's up, Uncle Steve and Falcons family? The new era is here. Rise up, dirty birds." I want to say that. That's his motto there. I'm a the new era is here. Rise up, dirty birds. Love it. Love it. Love it. Henry says another great game was when Adrian Claiborne was featured on Dak Prescott and the Cowboys with 6 sacks. That was definitely memorable. National TV again. Just poor second string quarterback. I mean, not quarterback, offensive lineman getting dusted. Dre said JPJ is going to miss 10 games. Yeah, I can see somewhere around there. That's how I would say between 8 and 12. I can definitely co-sign on that. He's gonna get some games missed. I was definitely one who thought because the NFL track record was he was never gonna play again. Definitely glad I was wrong. Yeah, and again, and I didn't even mean to say that as if because you get a lot of people like I told you, ain't about all that. But I understand why maybe you and other people may have thought because it looked and sounded so horrible at the very beginning that, and then you heard about the text and then they released the 911 calls and all that stuff. And like I said, sometimes the truth or whatever, there might have been stuff going on before that. Again, nothing that quantifies, hitting the young lady in the car or nothing like that. But it could have been a whole lot of stuff that's going on that we'll probably never, ever know about as far as that's concerned. Van Damon said, what are the chances we get the rookie JPG back? Let's be honest, 1 year without football is a long time. Well, I'm pretty sure while he's doing all of this, the Falcons aren't crazy. They probably got him training. They probably have him. I mean, he's taking his classes, but he's going to stay in shape. He's going to stay in shape. He's going to do what he needs to do. It's a fair question, but also remember, you're right. It took him a little while to ramp up. But I think with a year under his belt, I think he's going to be fine. As far as I'm concerned. Pandemic also says we can win with either Penix or Tua. Penix just has to come back healthy, and that's the bottom line. And I do believe that they can win with Tua. Y'all got to remember too. Tua did. Tua is not as horrific as some might say. And now we also have to remember Tua also has a concussion issue as well. So we got to hope he's healthy, or we're going to be looking at Trevor Simeon or the young kid they got from the undrafted, Jack Strand, as far as the next quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. So I do feel like competition is going to be great for both of them. Because guess what? Even if one is better than the other, with both of them being a little injury prone, it's probably good to have the other one ready. So I kind of go with this one too. I think you can win with both of them. Tony Hall says, my favorite under the radar moment was the Hail Mary catch by Billy White Shoes Johnson, I believe, against those hated 49ers to win the game in the 80s. And I'm going to tell you something, Tony. And if you ever go back and look at that play in 2026, he would have been called down. His knees came down way before that. So, and not that I'm complaining, but that was a great catch. But I do feel like if you go back and watch that play, Billy wasn't in the end zone. He would have been called down right about the 1 yard line. But hey, we didn't have replay then, thank goodness. So it's all good. He said, my favorite moment, my most proud Falcons 1 quarter of a football game. Picking off Manning 3 times in the first quarter. We were shape-shifting our safeties and cornerbacks, moving back and forth. Chef's kiss. Let me tell you something. We were at that game, right? And y'all remember that was, the great Peyton Manning coming in, and another one of those cases. Oh, Peyton's going to chew up the Falcons, and again, you were like, what is going on? Like, he was throwing those interceptions, and I was sitting there, I just couldn't believe it. Like, Peyton is coming in our house throwing these things up for free. Robert McClain got an interception that day, that quarter. And then they still came back and almost got us at the very end. But thank goodness we held on. TJ says 6 to 8 games on a Pierce situation. Understand that. Woody said, yeah, we won that game 27-21. Yeah, we had to hold on too. We had to hold on that game. Dre says Tua's not bad, even with the concussion. That was a product of trash O-line. And that could be, that's a very good point. This offensive line might be something that, and I know there's this narrative for some reason that our offensive line was not that great last year. Penix got hurt, but Penix wasn't getting sacked every other play. I mean, there were some teams that were pretty good against him, but it's not like the offensive line didn't stand up. This might be the best offensive line Tua plays with. So, yeah, and I'm not going to be mad if they turn out game 1 and say, hey, Mike, we want to make sure Mike is under contract for another year, whether people want to, kind of believe that or not. That's sometimes you got to look at it financially. We still have him under a rookie contract. Worst case scenario, if he's not ready and he's ready next year, you still got a 4th year. You can push him to his 5th year option where you're not paying him $50 million early. So from the Michael Penix standpoint, there is no rush. You do want to see what you have, but there is no rush to push him out there. So, yeah, I hear you, Dre. 330 in the house. What's going on?
Oh,
330.
yeah.
How you doing, brother? He said, Dag, Unc, I said that when it happened, but the betting now would have been also had him down. Yeah, I hear you. Most definitely. TJ says my favorite Falcon moment beating the brakes off the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. Last game in the Dome. And the brakes we did beat off of him. 100%. That was very, very impressive, that game. David said, my problem with Tua, guys need elite separation for him to be an effective quarterback because the arm isn't that strong. Drake gets open, but rarely gets wide open. That's a very good point. 3 yards of separation is wide open. That's the very good receivers, and I 100% am in agreement with what you're saying. The great receivers know how to get that separation. As great as Drake. Now, one-on-one balls, I'll take Drake over probably most wide receivers. It's only about 4 wide receivers that I can think of that have more get up and go get it than Drake does. Separation, he might be right. So that could be a problem. 330 said, Matty Ice first game and the last game in the Georgia Dome. That's so funny because you're right. His first game in the Dome with the Michael Jenkins throw, and then the last game in the Dome with the Green Bay shellacking. Yeah, most definitely those are the highlights, man. Man, if we could only get some of those games now. It's so interesting. We've had some memorable games from 18 up to last year, but it's just a shame, man, because without winning, nobody's going to remember that stuff. Nobody's going to remember. Nobody's going to remember the Kadero Hodge play. Nobody's going to remember the DJ Moore throw my helmet off and then we come back and win. That's actually a very memorable game as well. And we came back and won, but DJ Moore made that man kick a 48-yard extra point and miss it. That was actually a good one. Dre said, not a good moment, but it's the most Falcon thing possible, and that's Marcus throwing from it, which happened to be the same year that of the play that I'm just talking about, the DJ Moore play, that we played them in the Dome, and we beat them because DJ Moore took off his helmet. Matter of fact, my brother Berto, if y'all make sure y'all check out 95 Sports North, Berto was with us at that game, and he threw the helmet right towards our little section, and then the referee threw that flag, and 48-yard extra point later, we going into overtime, and Mariota wins that game, then turns around 4 weeks later on a Thursday night and looks like a buffoon. Tony Hall says another great win was Vic and the Birds going into Denver. Yep, and winning after giving up 8 touchdowns in Kansas City the week prior. That was a really big win because, yeah, they looked hopeless against Kansas City. Absolutely. Yeah, Dirty said, by the way, I was at both of those. Talking about the first game. I wasn't at the first Matt Ryan game, but obviously I was at that one. I don't know why I wasn't. I'm trying to think why I wasn't at that game. That's a good question. Pandemic says David start his 67% completion percentage cracked the top 10 league wide, and his lightning fast 2.55 average time to throw was among the quickest in football, perfect for the offense. I hope so. And again, those are, and he's right, short passes, getting it out of your hands. Tua is probably a little bit better right now in that sense. But we'll see, man. We'll see. It'll be great to see when July comes. And more importantly, when the preseason comes, because this is going to be the first preseason that we're actually going to see starting players play for a long time. We haven't had that in a minute. Henry says, I'm looking forward to see if Branch can ball, Trice finally playing, and if the Terrell brothers can wreak havoc on other teams. I do feel like Zachariah is going to be an integral part in the offense. I don't look for him to get immediately thrust in, but I think he's going to be somebody who's going to be an issue when he gets in the game. Trice, who I am rooting for tremendously. I was huge on Trice before he got here. Just been dealt a bad deal with these injuries 2 years in a row. Trice has not even played one game. And sometimes, when you start talking about that best ability is availability, he's somebody that you're going to probably put that in his picture because all the promise in the world can't get back the 2 years you lost. So I don't know. And I do think Avion, just like AJ, probably will take his lumps that first year. But once he gets on track, I do believe with Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, and the two Terrell brothers, I think this has an opportunity to be huge. I'm not sure Jesse is going to fit in the plans after this year, but I do think those 4 guys are going to be holding it down in Atlanta for a couple of years. Dre said the first 3 quarters, I'll ever watch it. The second Super Bowl was amazing. That pick 6 had me absolutely thinking we were going to win. I was telling y'all earlier about the NFL Plus site where you can go back and watch the old games. And I say this every time. If I sneak to watch that game, I stop the tape after Alfred's interception. I don't even see when they had 28. I stopped after that because the feeling I had when Alfred got that pick 6 and see Tom Brady looking like he did, I knew we won that game. And that hurts as a fan. You knew we won that game. Coming off what we just did to Seattle and Green Bay offensively, and we were doing it to what was, considered to be the GOAT at the time. Just saying it just makes me mad. Kelvin says, also getting revenge on the Chicken Hawks before the Packers game. We got robbed in Seattle earlier that year, if y'all remember. In 2016, we went to Seattle and probably should have won that game. Seattle was up, I want to say 17 in that game. And the Falcons came back, hawked them down. And then that last play of the game where Richard Sherman literally pulls Julio Jones down and they don't call pass interference and Seattle wins the game. We got to get back. Kelvin is right. At that game before because that was a kind of a massacre too. Seattle had jumped out to a nice little touchdown and field goal, and then we came back and did our thing. So yeah, that was cool. David said, look at the receiver he's had. Hill and Waddle are 2 of the quickest separators in the game and 2 of the best in yak. Drake is not a big yak guy, but I don't trust Dotson. Yeah, Dotson is going to get a chance though. But this is the crazy thing, right? If you think about it, Dave, with the signing of Zacchaeus Dotson and then bringing in Zachariah Branch along with Drake London, I would argue that this is probably the best receiving core since 2020. And a caveat on that because Julio was hurt half that year, but Julio was still on the team. We haven't had a wide receiver, and this is not great. I'm not trying to tell you Dotson's great. OZ is the greatest in the world. I'm saying, but this is the most talented it's been in the receiving room since that time. So it'll be interesting to see how Stefanski and Tommy Rees what they do with this offense and the new receivers that they have. Henry says, my other favorite was when the Falcons played the Rams at the Rose Bowl. My first Falcons game in person in my home in L.A. Now, Was that the playoff game, or was that a regular season game? The playoff game that we beat them before we went to Philly? I'm trying to see if that the same game that you're referring to. That was a good game as well. Good for us to come out on top as far as that's concerned. But listen, hey, everybody, I appreciate you all joining us on the Monday Minutia. We were trying to get this thing right under an hour. We went a little bit over, but that's fine. Anytime the Falcons talk is rolling, we appreciate it. I see you, Henry, regular season game. Okay, I got you. Anytime we could talk Falcons football, whether it's the past, whether it's what's going on right now, we appreciate you. And thank you all for joining us. If you don't mind, again, if you haven't hit the like button, do that for your unk. Those things get the videos out to the algorithms. It's plenty of great Atlanta Falcons content creators out here. And I want to get my stuff out there as well. So the world can know that there are some passionate fans and people talking about this team. I tend to believe that we're destined for some great things. And I know you do too, or you wouldn't be talking with me today on the show. So I appreciate y'all joining me on the Monday Minutia. Thank you for those on Facebook. Thank you for those watching on YouTube and those watching on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining me. We will see you all again next Monday on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Everybody have a blessed week and take care.
You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Gonna sit down, have a good